Thank you. Okay. Hare Krishna, everyone. So, welcome one more time, and it's so nice to have you all. Let's start with our usual prayers, and then we can get into the depth of this such a beautiful, yet another beautiful pastime of, in Bhagavatam of Prahlāda Maharaj. Om Jnanatam Andasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilikam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurve Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpatarubhasya Kripa Sindhu Bhayevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Namam Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Tinamine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschate Deshatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakti Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Mukam karoti vachalam pangum langayate girim yatkripatam ham vande Shri Guru Dinatarinam Paramananda Madhavam Shri Chaitanya. Hare Krishna everyone. So here we are talking about Prahlāda Maharaj. Okay, so before we start, okay, let me see how many of you are here today. We are about, I think, yeah, so we have a good gathering here. Let's do one thing. Let's try to keep this a little bit interactive, so you guys can all help me actually as we go along, and let's help and support each other in trying to extract, the deep lessons that Bhagavatam is always giving us. So here we are talking of Prahlāda Maharaj. So, we'll start off with a very basic point here. How much do we know about Prahlāda Maharaj? Is there anyone on the call? Would you like to share? What do you know about Prahlāda Maharaj? Who is Prahlāda Maharaj? I think it's a very famous pastime. You have a very, very famous movie also going on these days. So I really don't think, how many of you have been to the movie, by the way? Just raise your hand.
I have.
Have you?
It was wonderful.
Mataji.
Yes, yeah. I haven't had a chance to go, yeah, but yeah, everybody, I'm hearing this, lots of devotees are going and they're really liking the movie, yeah. So it's already a super duper hit. Yeah, so okay, so what do we know about Prahlāda Maharaj? Then it should not be difficult for those who have seen the movie. Yeah.
Prahlāda is the son of Hiranyakasipu and
Yes.
is a devotee of the Lord.
Yes, okay. He's a devotee of the Lord. He is the son of Hiranyakashipu. Okay, what else do we know? You know what? It's very important for us to know about Prahlāda Maharaj. The reason being, of course, he's one of the 12 Mahajans, and I will explain you what does the word Mahajan mean. And remember, we are talking about his instructions here, So the chapter is titled Prahlāda Instructs His Demoniac Schoolmates. So we are reading the instructions. So we must first of all know who are we taking these instructions from, because unless we really know about the background of the personality who is giving the instructions, we will not be able to actually absorb those instructions, nor will we be able to apply it. So it's very important for us to know, Prahlāda Maharaj is giving us so many messages in this chapter, through his friends. So we must know about him. So he's a devotee. He's the son of Hiranyakashipu. What else do we know about him?
He was instructed by Narad Muni while he was in the womb of Kayadu, his mother.
Thank
and
you. Yeah, so his mother's name was Kayadu. Like we always hear about, his father, because of course he's also a very special personality in one sense, a demoniac personality. So we always hear a lot about his father, but we don't really talk much about his mother. So his mother's name was Kayadu. And he was instructed by Narad Muni while he was in his mother's womb. Yeah, we'll come to that point while we talk about this. What else do we know? How old was Prahlad Maharaj, by the way? This is a very important point. How old was
He
he?
was 5 years
5 years
old.
old.
He's just a small 5-year-old child. That is such a heart-touching point, that just a 5-year-old, and he is, as we all know, he's constantly kind of, as somebody said, just now, that he's a devotee of the Lord, and his father is a demon, and who, of course, does not approve of his worship of Lord Vishnu. So he's constantly harassed by his father. And before we come to the point where he's talking to his schoolmates, actually, we read in chapter 5, like how much of like harassment does he go through just because he's a devotee. He wants to worship Lord Vishnu, and of course, his father considers Lord Vishnu as his enemy. So his father is thinking that, what, you're worshipping my enemy.
Point. Indra, because Hiranyakashipu already had done so much bad things, like to demigods. So Indra wanted to kill Prahlāda Maharaj while he was in the womb of Kayadu, because he said, we
Yeah.
don't want another demon being born. But Narad Muni stopped him from killing
Killing the child in the womb. Yes. Killing the child in the womb, because he told the demons, actually, who had, sorry, the demigods, sorry, who had come to kill him, saying that, there is a devotee in the womb of Kayadu, so please do not kill him. So just see, this is the, just see like how a 5-year-old, what do you normally expect from a 5-year-old? Like, yeah, there is no worldly sense, there is no, barely knows what the world is all about, and just wants to do his own little thing, that he wants to worship Lord Vishnu, but he has to go through so much. It is said that Srila Prabhupada talks about that Prahlad Maharaj, sorry, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, when he was in Jagannath Puri, so he would often visit Gadadhar Pandit, actually, because the main service that Gadadhar Pandit actually took for Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is that he would constantly read or sing Bhagavatam to Mahaprabhu. And it is said that Mahaprabhu would like two pastimes very much. When he would he would always request Gadadhar Pandit to read those two pastimes again and again. Anyone would like to guess which are those two pastimes from Bhagavatam that Mahaprabhu really liked? And then we'll come to the point of why he really liked those two
Dhruv
pastimes.
Maharaj.
Dhruv
and
Maharaj,
Prahlāda Maharaj.
Dhruv Maharaj and Prahlāda Maharaj, yes. Dhruv Maharaj, because Dhruv Maharaj epitomizes determination, and Prahlāda Maharaj, because Prahlāda Maharaj epitomizes faith. So Mahaprabhu said these two pastimes are very important for Vaishnavas to constantly hear and meditate, because these are the two cornerstones, these are the two pillar stones of our bhakti life. Because, as we go in our, as we navigate into the material world, bhakti is not going to be like always a straightforward ride. It actually, bhakti oscillates as our material condition oscillates. Sometimes we are up, sometimes we are down. And I think a lot of you on the call would agree with me that not all the days are same. Some days, we don't know what we are doing. Some days we don't know, okay, can I do my chanting today? Some days, okay, can I do my reading today? Will I be able to do my service today? Or maybe even if we are doing, we know we are not getting the 100% from the heart. So when we read these beautiful pastimes, they give us that determination, and they give us that faith. Okay, that yes, just carry on, Sarah. If a 5-year-old had so much of faith, remember, we are a lot better. We can do a lot better than him, actually. But yeah, so he's one of the 12 Mahajans, so Bhagavatam talks about 12 Mahajans. Mahajans are those devotees, like as it says, Mahajan, it's like great saints, Jan is the people. So great saints, who are actually who are showing us the path of bhakti, and he's one of them. So that's why his instructions are very, very key for us, and which is why we have one full chapter in Bhagavatam. Vyasdev has dedicated for like hearing from Prahlāda Maharaj directly. What is he saying? What is it that we have to do? And if you see, it's very interesting as well that Prabhupada, he has actually called the whole Canto 7, he's called as the science of God. And sometimes you would wonder, like God is actually in every chapter of Bhagavatam, right? In fact, the whole Bhagavatam is all about Krishna. So why would Prabhupada specifically call chapter 7 as the science of God? Because chapter 7 talks about, what we can do in bhakti. Like, we talk about the 9 processes of devotional service in Canto 7. So it's very important. That is why the whole, you can say, the essence of bhakti actually is quite nicely, defined here for mortal souls like us. And of course, as we get on to this path, then we have, we go deeper into towards 10th canto, which talks about gopis, which are like really, which is the pinnacle of bhakti. But for mortal souls like us, how can we actually build our bhakti? How can we build a strong foundation of our bhakti? That comes from Prahlāda Maharaj, because he epitomizes faith, and he's actually guiding us here on how we can lead a life in Kali Yuga, when the lifespan is so limited, when the knowledge is so limited, when the resources are so limited, so everything is so limited, and everything is quite like the whole Kali Yuga is actually defined as a age of quarrel and hypocrisy, right? So when there is so much of quarrel, there is so much of hypocrisy, when everything seems negative around us, then how can we actually, what are the teachings we should be carry? How should we be leading our life, so we can also build a good foundation in bhakti. This is what Prahlāda Maharaj is telling us. So what we'll do is, over the course of next 20-25 minutes, I will cover 4 areas related to spiritual life, 4 specific aspects that Prahlāda Maharaj has spoken here, and then we can open it up for discussion. And and those are very 4 basic areas. Actually, if you see, he's not talking of any rasas here or anything deep here. He's talking of very, very basic things that we should just be keeping in mind as we navigate through our life. Okay, let's go. Let's see, what do we have? So I've picked up some, specific purports, specific lines from the purports. The way I always study Bhagavatam is, and I would like to share here, is that please, when you read Bhagavatam, do not actually underestimate, or I would say ignore, the purports written by Srila Prabhupada. Every word is so valuable. Every sentence is so valuable, and there's so much of meaning and depth in each and everything that, Srila Prabhupada has spent sleepless nights in writing those purports. So please pay attention. And what I'll do is, here I'll show you some lines from those purports. I will give you the references if you want to go back and read them more. But please, you would understand why those purports are so valuable for us. Okay, so the first thing that Prahlāda Maharaj says is spiritual understanding is very rare. Now, why does he say spiritual understanding is rare? Has anyone got any thoughts about it? Why do we say that spiritual understanding is rare? What do we make out from this picture on the right? Any thoughts? What is the picture on the right, by the way? It's a very famous picture, but what does it show?
It says,
Circle
oh,
of
young
life
on
and
old.
death.
Different stages, Mataji.
Different stages of human life,
Yeah.
right? From being a child to youth and to old age, and then like this. Yes, these are the different stages. Sorry, I heard somebody wanted to share something. Why do we think spiritual understanding is rare?
Is it because we think we are the body and not the soul?
Okay, we think we are the body and we're not the soul. Okay, nice point. Anything else?
No educational institution teaches about
No education.
the soul.
Okay. Yeah, we will come on to that as well. But the first thing that is very important for us to understand is the human body that we have, which is the most basic teaching that Srila Prabhupada gives us. Any lecture you pick up of Srila Prabhupada, he's just talking about how the human body is so rarely achieved. And we are at 8.4 million cycles of the species. And we are going through that cycle of 8.4 million species. And it's only in the last 400,000 that we actually end up in human life. So please remember, if you are sitting here, if you are talking about Bhagavatam, if you are able to chant, if you are able to go to the temple, if you are able to take the darshan of the deities, if you are able to have some prasadam, it is not by chance. Prabhupada says it very clearly. It is not by chance. It is a very golden opportunity that we have received in our lives. In fact, Prabhupada says in one of the lectures, a Vaishnava does not waste even a moment of time, because that's how crucial and that's how important the human life is. So first of all, we get a human life, which we get after, traveling through those 8.4 million species. Chaitanya Charitamrita talks about a beautiful verse, Brahmanda Brahmite Kona Bhagyavana Jiva. Brahmanda Brahmite, which means we are just wandering. Brahmand is like the whole universe. Brahmite means like just wandering. Kona Bhagyavana Jiva. So there is one person who's Bhagyavan, very rare. Guru Krishna Prasad Pai Bhakti Lata Bija. So Guru, with the blessings of Guru, with the blessings of Krishna, they get the Bhakti Lata Bij. So please hold on to this. It is so rare. It's not by chance that we meet some devotees who give us some books, or we are sitting in this session reading about Bhagavatam. Particularly living in Western world, this is even more rare. So it's very important, like it says here, that although it is a temporary body, human body is most rarely achieved, and although temporary like other bodies, it is meaningful. Why is it meaningful? Anyone tell me, why is it meaningful? Anyone? Why is it meaningful? The most basic teaching of Krishna consciousness, it is meaningful because it is only in human form of life that we have the ability to kind of comprehend, the ability to comprehend, the ability to understand. Prabhupada says in one lecture, we cannot be talking about Bhagavad Gita and Bhagavatam to cats and dogs because they wouldn't understand. Right? They wouldn't understand. So human body is so rare. And when we receive this, then Prabhupada explains it even further, that you can see how we are utilizing the time that we have received in the human body. Right? So it says that although in this age a lifetime of 100 years is generally not possible, but even if one has 100, calculation is that 50 years are wasted in sleeping. Yeah. 20 years in childhood and boyhood, and 20 years in invalidity. Jara and Vyadhi. Jara is old age, Vyadhi is disease. So much is lost. If you see in this calculation, 90% of our time is lost in just carrying on with the usual bits of life, right? We are not doing like, if you go deeper into these purpose, Prahlāda Maharaj explains that how first 10 years, we don't have any sense. The next 10 years we are playing. So there's a whole breakup that he has given, and then Prabhupada writes this summary here. So if you see, 90% of the time of our life is just gone like that, just meeting the demands of this material body. But it's only 10% that we can actually use for our spiritual upliftment. So that is why it's even more rare. First of all, the human body is very rare that we get it. And then the time that we get it in this human body is even more difficult to attain. Like, I'm sure you would all agree how much we are all, struggling with time. We have to work, we have children, this, that, with so many responsibilities. So that is why even if you do a little bit of devotional service, that really uplifts you. That is one step closer to Krishna, right? So don't shy away. Don't think that I can. Sometimes, what happens is we think that, okay, only if I can do something big, then only I'll do it. But we don't realize that even small endeavors, they are really counting in Krishna's diary, as we say. Every little bit of endeavor is counted. So please try to do everything. Try every day. Try to do some little bit of devotional service as much as you can, whatever it is. Whether maybe it is your japa, whether it is your prasadam, whether it is your reading, whether it is your darshan of the deities, or whether it is serving the Vaishnavas, whatever suits your lifestyle. Please make sure that we are making the best use of the time. It is very, very rare. Is everyone with me so far? I hope I'm not going very fast.
Yes, it's brilliant. Thank you.
Okay, cool. Okay, then the next is spiritual education is essential, right? So Prahlāda Maharaj is saying that, see, remember, he's talking to his demoniac friends who are of the similar age group, right? They're all 5 years or so. And that is what Prabhupada is saying as well. And then, in fact, Prabhupada writes that, a lot of times we see that, we think, or we kind of hear, particularly in Indian culture, we hear from our elders that, oh, you know what, you're too young for all this. Don't do it now. Maybe you can do it after a few years. But who knows? Who has seen? Who knows? What are we going to have? Whether we will be around even after a few years or not. So, and that's what Prabhupada is saying. All children and youth must be taught to hear about the Supreme Personality of Godhead, right? So again, this is very, very key because children have to be given those sanskars from the birth, same way. Because like, Bhagavad Gita says that how, if you are thinking about Krishna at the end of your life, then your supreme destination is you can achieve. But then again, remember, we cannot just train the mind to think about Krishna at the last minute. It has to be trained all through the life. Then it is ready when it is the time to leave. And that seed we have to give, to children and to kind of all the youth around us, in our families, and in our friend circle, wherever we know, we must put that seed in them. And of course, it does not mean we teach them that yes, they just need to leave everything. A lot of times, with spirituality, we think that it's all about, okay, just give up everything, just go to the forest. But again, it's the little bits, it's the value system, it's about spiritual education. Yes, there is something more in your life than 9 to 5, right? There is something more than in your life than just filling your belly. So, explore that as well. Give them that taste from the very beginning. So it's very important. So spiritual education is very important. And you know what happens is a lot of times actually we are worried that, okay, if you see, I don't know, maybe the mothers or the parents would agree with me on this call. I remember, when my son was in the school, like in a primary school, a lot of times, or maybe even now, I kind of always wonder that, oh, I hope he's in a good, company. I hope he's with the right people. I hope he's not, uh, fallen into some bad association or something. And then, but if you see, we are always thinking like this for our children. But it's equally important for us also to be in the right association. We never think on those lines. Am I in the right association? Am I with the right people? Have I not fallen into bad association? And that's all part of the spiritual education that we want to keep on constantly hitting. The world and the nature around us is always throwing us so much of messaging, which is all related to material, growth. There should be time of the day when you want to hit your soul only with the spiritual messages, because it really, if the soul is kind of going through so much in the material world most of the time, whether it is work or even if we are traveling, there's so much of like advertisements, there's so much coming on WhatsApp these days. Everything is so much about material. But if we try to kind of take some time out of the day, that okay, what I want to now wipe out so many hours of all this material bombardment into my consciousness. That is where spiritual education is very, very essential. It's very important. Otherwise, we can very easily get dragged into all this mayhem, this whole world is following. But yeah, keep yourself, keep children, everybody, start from the day, start early from the day, start early in their life, start early, whether it is day or your life, start early, basically. Okay. The third point that, yeah, again, this is something that we all kind of, it's just like a blocker for us to start, because we think, even at the outside, we think, oh, this is going to be very difficult. I know, I had some relatives who were living with us like last year. They came to live with us for a few days. And I remember a lot of times, when they would see our lifestyle and they, one or two times I heard this comment, oh, this is very difficult. Oh, this is very difficult. So this is, we are so used to kind of so-called living freely that sometimes, even the basics look very difficult. But it's not actually, Prabhupada explains here that all we have to do, if you see, this is why Prabhupada calls it Krishna consciousness. Why does why does Prabhupada use the word consciousness? Because if you see from this purport, he says it's, if one understands that the Vaishnava philosophy, which explains how he is present everywhere and how he acts everywhere, then to realize him is not at all difficult. Like, how is it difficult? Like, in one of the lecture, Prabhupada says that, we read in Bhagavad Gita, chapter 10, where Krishna is talking about all his opulences. And then he says, I am in the taste of the water. Very simple thing. He says, Krishna says, I am in the taste of the water. And Prabhupada says, this is all that you need to understand Krishna. That if you are enjoying the taste of the water, actually that is Krishna. Right? So that's what he's trying to emphasize here. All we have to understand that he's present everywhere. He's omnipotent. He acts everywhere, right? He's the sole proprietor, he's the sole enjoyer, and he's the supreme controller. We just need to understand these three things, and then we are very much Krishna conscious, because ultimately Prabhupada is trying to tune our consciousness that we are not independent. Okay, we are dependent on Krishna. We are dependent upon, the other Vaishnavas around us. We are dependent upon Krishna and his devotees. So this is very important to build that consciousness. That is what spiritual life is all about. Everything else will then follow. Everything else will fall in place if we understand that, yes, Krishna is everywhere. The reason we get so upset and sometimes we get baffled is because we are not able to kind of relate that, yes, he's there, he's acting everywhere. If there is something happening in my life, actually that is Krishna's plan. Whether I like it or I don't like it, but at the end of the day, it's Krishna's plan. This is what Krishna wants me to go through. And this is how Krishna is building, trying to make me understand that, what, I'm here for you. Okay, this is probably not the best thing for you right now, but wait for a little while and you will see, you will observe that how this will help you. Same way, it says, if one takes shelter of Narad instead of material teachers, this knowledge is possible to understand. So again, this as it's given in a very famous verse in Bhagavad Gita, chapter 4, text 34, right? Tadvidi pranipatena. So we go actually submissively and inquire from the teachers, from devotees, that, okay, could you teach me something about Krishna consciousness? We go and hear from them, right? I mean, I remember actually, today, of course, we are blessed with this opportunity to speak about Bhagavatam. And in the initial days when I had just started to kind of, come to the temple, I wasn't actually reading Bhagavatam much. For many years, I didn't actually touch Bhagavatam because I was a very much like a Bhagavad Gita person. So I would always go to Bhagavad Gita. I would always read Bhagavad Gita. But I only thing I did, I remember that time, was I was attending the morning classes, Bhagavatam classes regularly. Like I was hearing that regularly, even if I'm not going to the temple, I would actually listen to the class online. And I'm telling you, actually, I feel, looking back now, I feel that I gained so much at that time, even though I was not reading Bhagavatam, I gained so much about Bhagavatam just by that hearing, right? And of course, that kind of not only just gave me an understanding about Krishna and Bhagavatam and other devotees, the personalities that are mentioned here, but it also gave me a taste that I wanted to then go back and I started to read the Bhagavatam. So instead of, like it says here, instead of taking shelter of the material teachers, take the shelter of your spiritual teachers. There's so many beautiful devotees, in London. I mean, I have to say we are very fortunate as a London Yatra. There are so many beautiful devotees. I don't think there is any other place in the world where they have two temples in like in a half an hour distance, right? So much we have here, so much of treasure, so many sessions, beautiful classes like this. Just take shelter, of beautiful, like it says, of spiritual teachers, and this knowledge is possible to understand, right? I mean, in any case, see, spiritual life is, spiritual books and spiritual understanding is like an ocean. We will never able to kind of, with this little brain, with this little life, we will anyways never be able to kind of understand it fully. But whatever we want to understand, whatever little steps we can take, if we kind of stay connected to our spiritual teachers, right, our gurus, devotees, guru, sadhu, shastra, as they say, if we stay connected to these three aspects, then, something will get in. Something will definitely get in. We're not kind of looking to kind of really, perfect or anything, but just kind of focus on the endeavor that I want to kind of just pick up and understand a little bit of Krishna consciousness today, right? And then, of course, when you make these little steps, one day it kind of elongates and comes together, And you're there with the help of the other devotees. And the last thing, of course, we want to talk about here is, okay, yes, we talk about how, we have to, of course, grasp the spiritual knowledge. But then Prahlāda Maharaj ends it with this note that don't just keep it to yourself, share it with others. Because the more you share it with others, the more it will please Krishna. The more it will please Krishna, the better understanding you will have. Because it's a very famous verse in Bhagavad Gita that, Krishna says that whoever shares this knowledge, is most dear to me. And here Prabhupada writes, become everybody's best well-wisher. Best well-wisher. What is the best gift? If you read Prabhupada's letters, actually, it always ends. What does it end with? If you ever read Prabhupada letters, I'm sure a lot of you would have seen it. How does Prabhupada sign off the letters? What does it
Your
say?
well-wisher
Your
or
ever
something?
well-wisher.
Your ever well-wisher. Beautiful. And that's why his biography is also called as Your Ever Well-Wisher. And that's what Prabhupada is telling us, He writes it like that he's not just our well-wisher for this lifetime. He's our well-wisher for every lifetime, whether this one or any other chapters, any upcoming chapters of, our existence. But he's saying become their best well-wisher because you can, like we can, of course, when we help others, we that does not mean we should not help others by other means. We can help people with so much. But when you give them Krishna consciousness, actually you're giving them the real thing. You're giving them something permanent. You're giving them something which they will carry on with to their next life. It won't just be help to suffice their temporary needs in this life, but it will actually satisfy their permanent needs, eternal needs as well, which is to connect with Krishna, to go back to Godhead. There's a very beautiful story that Srila Prabhupada explains in this context. He says there was one boy, actually, he was going somewhere and he had an accident. He was a very rich boy. Sorry, his father was a very rich person and, he was a boy of a rich man, but he meets with an accident. And when he meets with an accident, actually, he loses his memory. Right. So now he's wandering on the roads, on the streets, and he doesn't know where to go because he's lost his memory. So he kind of, just sits down on one corner of the road, aimless. He doesn't know himself. So somebody comes, he gives him a blanket. One person comes, gives him some food. The other person gives him some clothes. The other person comes who gives him like shoes, right? Then, one person comes and he says, oh, I know this boy actually. I know his father. So let me take him back to his father. So so this is what Prabhupada says. This is what it is like. This is what our service is all about. That, we are all souls, souls entangled in this material world who have forgotten about their eternal father, who is Krishna. And when we actually share Krishna consciousness with others, we're actually reminding them of their father, right? And while we are on this journey, if we are helping them with their temporary needs, okay, that would help them, but that would only be like it says, their temporary needs. But their eternal need will only be fulfilled once they are connected to their father. And once they are connected to their eternal father, like who's Krishna, then ultimately, automatically, all their needs would be fulfilled. So this is very important, oftentimes actually we think, okay, how can I preach? Preaching always does mean, okay, yeah, sitting in front of 100 people and giving a talk. But then Prabhupada, again, he has made so many beautiful ways and means of how we can share Krishna consciousness with others, whether it is maybe giving prasadam to someone, maybe giving a book to someone, or maybe bringing somebody to the temple and giving them like a tour of the temple, or, just little things, whatever we can do, whatever is our capacity. Prabhupada says very beautiful that each one of us is blessed with something that we can actually use in the service of Krishna, right? And use whatever you have. A lot of times what happens is we end up comparing ourselves here and there, and we're thinking we're trying to become like a version of what we are seeing around us. And in that process, we actually forget what is inside us. Like um, there's a very beautiful example Prabhupada gives about a deer. So a deer actually, there's a very special type of a deer who's actually looking around for a fragrance. He can, he can smell something, smell some fragrance, and constantly looking around for it, not realizing that actually that fragrance is coming from his own navel. So we are like that actually. We are always kind of, going around thinking, okay, what can we do? What are others doing? What can I do better than the other person? But in that process, we just completely forget that Krishna has blessed us with something. We just have to identify. And maybe that identification might take a little time, but use the help of other Vaishnavas, use the help of your friends, family. Okay, what can I do to serve Krishna? What can I do to share Krishna consciousness with others? But we must share Krishna consciousness with others. Don't just keep it to yourself, because then, then again, we are selfish. But we want to help others. It says here, become their best well-wisher. So these were some few points. Like I said, I was just planning to go through it, and maybe, yeah, we can, we're almost like about, 40 minutes. So maybe we can spend the next 15, 20 minutes first and take some questions if anybody would like to ask.
Okay, thank you very much, Mataji. That was really beautiful. If anyone does have any questions, please do raise your hands. If I can start off, if that's okay, first of all. You talked about inquiring from devotees, but I think sometimes people feel uncomfortable, maybe, in a way, or they feel that they don't know how to approach a pure devotee of the Lord, and it's that sort of nature that you sort of then do not take that association, although you do know that you need to take the association. You feel that I shouldn't use the word uncomfortable, but you feel that you may not do it in an appropriate manner. And so how do devotees approach a pure devotee, and if they want to have some sort of knowledge or conversations with that particular person, and inquire basically?
See, according to Bhagavad Gita, which is, I was just quoting this verse, chapter 4, text 34, which is a very famous verse about Tadvidi Pranipatena Pariprashnena Sevaya Utprakshite Jnanam Jnaninas Tattva Darshina. So it says there are two ways by which we can approach a devotee for, if we have some spiritual inquiries, if we have some questions. Pariprashnena and Sevaya. So, Pariprashnena Sevaya means how to ask questions is, first of all, is through Seva. We serve them, we ask them, how can we serve you? And then, of course, by submissively asking questions. Prabhupada says, ask questions submissively and through service. So it's very important. I think we have to say that we are very fortunate, in our tradition. We have some beautiful teachers. We have so many devotees around us. And we have a very good network of devotees as well. So if anybody is feeling, there are so many forums also these days, right? Practically, I can say there are always ways of asking questions online, or maybe connecting to devotees, to a group of devotees, asking questions in your sanghas, or if you have mentors, you can ask questions one-on-one. But the basic principle is that, yes, we should be really connected with them, through the, there should be a heart-to-heart connection. There should be that confidence that, yes, this person knows me, and this person will be able to give me a very personalized advice. And of course, that relationship of love and that relationship of service and comfort level should always be there, like I said, if we look, because when you are, there might be sometimes queries that could be very confidential in nature. So then to have that connection with that devotee, a loving connection with that devotee, and faith is very, very important. Like even if we see the setting here, it's Prahlāda Maharaj and his friends actually. And his friends, if you see at the end of the chapter, what happens is his friends say that, what, we trust you, but how do we ask questions? They also ask this question to Prahlāda Maharaj, that how did you get all of this knowledge? So then, what you see, you can see that openness, that friendship between Prahlāda Maharaj and his friends, that they are also able to ask questions, and they are also able to go further with him in that journey. That faith is there because they are together. So same way in our devotee culture also, it's very important to have that friendship and that faith that service attitude, that submissiveness, that yes, I am going to the right person and I know this person knows well me enough to give me the advice. So yeah, these are the two things I would, recommend.
Okay, thank you very much, Mataji. Jai Mataji, would you like to ask your question? Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Mataji, how are you?
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Sorry. Sorry. I just wanted to know. Thank you. Firstly, thank you so much for the wonderful class. It was so lovely. But I just wanted to know about the Mahajans. So you mentioned Prahlāda Maharaj is one of the Mahajan. And I understand that Dhruv Maharaj was similar in that respect, that they both were 5-year-old. They both were, they got the blessings from the Lord direct themselves, both of them.
Yeah.
So why is Dhruv Maharaj not considered as a Mahajan and only Prahlāda Maharaj? Is it because Prahlāda Maharaj got the knowledge from very early on, or I don't know. I just was curious. That's all. Thank you.
Okay. Anybody has any thoughts on this? Why is Dhruv Maharaj not considered one of the Mahajans?
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Is it because he initially he was looking for material this thing?
Very good.
Prahlāda Maharaj was from the beginning
Yeah.
a devotee of Vishnu, and he has no material desires. This was all spiritual.
Yes, that's a very good point. Anybody else? It's a very, very good point. We are getting very close there, Mataji. Thank you. Yeah. Anyone else?
Mataji. Hare Krishna Mataji is Pushti here.
Hare Krishna Mataji. Okay, your name says something else, yeah? Motorola.
I know it's a Motorola. I forgot to change that one. Sorry
That's
about that.
okay. Good you said it. Good you said it. Thank you, Mataji. Yes, go ahead.
Two questions, Mataji. I think the Prahlāda Maharaj, because while Kayadu was carrying him, so even before Prahlāda Maharaj born, he already had this knowledge about the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So coming to this material world, Prahlāda Maharaj already elevated.
Yeah.
And then from a very young age, he started preaching. With the Dhruva Maharaj, like Mataji said, he had a different consciousness, while he was worshipped.
You cutting off, Mataji?
Yeah.
We can't hear you, Mataji.
Pushti Mataji, we're not able to hear you at all.
Yeah.
Okay,
And okay.
Pushti Mataji, we completely lost you in between, so I've not heard your question.
Sorry, Mataji, my is a bit low. I think maybe because of that reason, maybe Dhruva Maharaj had a different consciousness to begin with. While the Prahlāda, even while he was in a womb, he already had Dhruva Maharaj already had that higher consciousness, and he knew the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And from a very young age, Prahlāda Maharaj was preaching. And that undivided faith towards the Krishna from very young age. Yeah.
Yes. Okay. Yes. So thank you, Mataji. Yeah. So I think you're all right in your own way. Basically, Mahajan basically means they are the authorities in devotional practice. Basically, they are the ones who are giving us the understanding of devotional practice, right? So when we talk of Mahajans, we talk of devotees like anybody would like to kind of start telling me about those 12 Mahajans? Yeah, I can start off. We have Narad Muni, who else?
Yamraj.
Kapila Muni.
Kapil Muni, Brahma.
Sanatya Kumara. Janak Maharaj.
Yes.
Bari Maharaj.
Yes. So if you see, these are all the authorities actually, who were kind of, who had taken the instruction and at the same time passing on these instructions, and they kind of, helped so many others to get into Krishna consciousness, right? So this is a very important point that with Dhruv Maharaj, of course, we are not saying that he's any less devotee, but yes, it's an example for us that yes, we could start off with a material consciousness and then move towards Krishna consciousness, which is what is the kind of, say, the journey of our lives, most of us, I would say 99.9% of us, we go through this journey. We start off with a material consciousness, like Prabhupada says, even if, there are some people who kind of go for material benefits also to Krishna, but then they realize that there's more to it, and they start building that connection. So as per Srila Prabhupada, he says that the Mahajans are actually the authorities in devotional practice, which means they give us the teachings, they tell us how to share, they tell us how to live our life. So they are the ones who have kind of built, you can say, that framework of devotional practice, and which is what we see. We see the lives of, Narad Muni, we see, Prahlāda Maharaj, we see so many other Vaishnavas, so they've given us that whole framework of devotional practice, as they say. And these are the examples, as Prabhupada says, Mahajano yena gatha pantha, which means we follow we follow their path. This is what we aim for, ultimately.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yes. Thank you, Mataji.
Okay, so Devi Mataji, I think you had your hand up. Would you like to ask a question, or? So Devi Mataji.
Thank you very much for today. Somewhat, there was someone else who mentioned about some of what I was going to say, and that's Prahlāda Maharaj was hearing Narada Muni already when he was in the womb.
Yeah.
And at the same time, I remember I read Bhagavad Gita 10:30, I believe, where Lord Krishna says, among these, I am Prahlāda.
Yes.
So at the same time, when I'm thinking about it, Lord Nrsimha is Lord Vishnu, and Prahlāda is Krishna, right?
Yeah.
So even though I wanted to try to learn about this example, still I would never believe I'm going to do anything or to act any way, the minute way of they do, because they are very exalted personality. So it's difficult for me to take them as example when I'm thinking I have waited and prayed for answer for the Lord in more than 60 years, and still I got to wait. I didn't get to know about it. I didn't get to learn about it. When I finally find it, then I'm physically, I can't do any service for it. You know what I mean? So what I'm thinking is, whatever I try to do, still, if it's not the time, if it's not timing, then it will not happen. Whatever I do, regardless to whatever I do, I pray, I please, I do everything I can not to hurt anyone, not to take care of my children, and so on and so on. Still, it didn't happen before very late. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And when I came to and I learned about it, then I got to learn about that if you preach for non-devotee or to talk about this with non-devotee, it's not good, because they are not having pure listening. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it makes me to be afraid to whom I should predict. It's difficult. You know what I mean? I'm afraid to say to someone to start bad karma, both for this person and for myself. You know what I mean? So I'm kind of confused. I don't know how to think. Could you please help me? Thank you.
So what you're saying is basically, that you have started Krishna consciousness late, and you feel that, of course, just help me to understand your question so that I can frame give you a good response on this. So because you feel that you've started very late, so you feel that, there's not enough time for you to do Krishna consciousness. Have I understood it correctly, Mataji?
Not that, but there are for instance, in Krishna consciousness, there are a kind of how to say, a kind of activity that you have to do to be a good devotee, to do right.
Yes.
You have to do a kind of activity. For instance, serve.
Yeah, and you're not able to do that.
I go with walker. I can't. What service I can do?
Yeah,
I go. I can't even walk without walker. You know what I mean? So this is what I'm thinking, because I always hear two things. I hear that it makes me, oh my God, what I'm going to do? What I'm going to do? One, service, devotional service. Two, whatever you do with love. These two I have very much difficulty. For me, I mean, when you, as a child, you never have learned what love is. You never have been loved. You never have understood what love is, until even now you don't know what love is. And then you say, if you don't do it with love, it doesn't count. Whatever service you do, if you don't do it with love, but then what is love then?
Yeah. See, first of all, to answer your question, how to do service, when you feel that you don't feel physically fit to be able to do the service, right? So see, this is the whole beauty of the package that Srila Prabhupada has created for us, which is called as the devotional service, right? There is so much that Prabhupada is saying that we all can do, right? Doesn't necessarily mean that, okay, yes, we have to get up, go somewhere. If you can go to the temple and do the service, that's fine. If not, there are so many other things we can do at home. We can chant. We all have our deities at home, or pictures at home, or altar at home, where we can spend time with Krishna. We can read Srila Prabhupada books. So the idea here is, Mataji, if you see, this is why it is called as, and again, I'm saying that this is called as Krishna consciousness. Right? Krishna consciousness. That means we have to build our consciousness to be able to understand that Krishna is everywhere. It's not about, Prabhupada didn't actually call it like International Society for Krishna Activity or Krishna events, or, it's called Krishna consciousness, which means we have to work on our internals. Right? It is not about because ultimately, if our internals are not corrected, and even if we still do some service, as they call it, it's of no use, because then we know our consciousness is not clear, our mind space is still not clear of all the anarthas. Ultimately, what are we trying to do? We are trying to purify ourselves. So purification can happen through many different ways. It just does not mean that, yes, we have to do some service. If due to our physical condition, we are not able to do the service, there are so many other things that we can do, which is how Prabhupada, we can have prasadam, we can spend time with devotees, we can read Srila Prabhupada books. But it's about building that consciousness. Like, it was in one of the purports, Prabhupada is saying that Krishna is everywhere and he acts everywhere. If that is what we are able to build in our consciousness, that is what matters. So I would not personally say that, okay, if you're not able to contribute in any service in some form, then you are less Krishna conscious than others. I would not definitely say that, because there are so many other ways. If you are able to connect with Krishna through his name, form, qualities, pastimes, we are Krishna conscious, ultimately able to surrender to Krishna. That is the ultimate teaching of Bhagavad Gita. If through our practice we are able to build that surrender, we are able to accept our situation, we are able to make the best use of our situation, then this is all good. That is Krishna consciousness. We have so many examples. Like if you read the example of Shabri from Ramayana, she didn't go anywhere. She didn't even cook anything for Lord Ram. She was there in her old age. She had that instruction from her guru that you stay here, the Lord will come. And she stayed at that one very place all through her life. She did not go anywhere. Every day for many years, her routine was that she would pick the fruits, pick them in a basket, taste them, that if they're sweet, keep them aside for Lord Ram and wait for him. That's all that her routine was all about. Right? And one day the Lord came. So she did not go. We don't read, when we read about Shabri, we don't read that she went somewhere. She was in her own ashram for all those years. She did not go anywhere. She did not speak to anyone. All she did was a certain set of activities that she did day after day, months after year, months, year after years. And that is how, and we count her as one of the purest devotees of the Lord. So it's not about the activity. It's not about where we are in that physical space. It's about how much, whatever we are doing, how we are able to relate with the Lord, with whatever we are doing, with whatever, conditions we are in. And our scriptures are full of examples. Like, I mean, again, I can give you so many examples from Bhagavatam as well. Like, people who were not in good conditions, but then, they didn't go anywhere. Even if you look at the lives of Queen Kunti, somebody like Queen Kunti, she didn't go anywhere. She was like a widow, with 5 children. She just depended on Krishna. She just remembered him whenever there was some difficulty. She remembered him, and, Krishna was there. So many devotees we can think like that from our scriptures, who probably did not do anything much as we call as service, but then they were able to give their internals, they were able to give their heart, they were able to give their life and soul to Krishna and connect with Krishna on that level. And they were the most Krishna conscious devotees that we know about, even after so many years. So I hope, Mataji, I have answered your question. But yeah, if you want to have a one-to-one chat, then Dharmendra Prabhu, you can take my number from him and we can have a one-to-one discussion. But I hope it helps.
Okay, thank you very much, Mataji. Pushti Mataji, I believe you did have your hand up. Would you still want to ask your question?
Yes,
Pushti.
Prabhuji. Mataji, what happened if you are like, that the devotees with you, they are ready to move on to the next stage. Somehow they are very reluctant. I don't know how to address that,
What would you do to those devotees who you feel, but then there's something internally that is holding them back?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think we have to just keep on giving them that love and support, Mataji, right? Keep encouraging them, right? Don't give up on them and give them their time. I think there are times, some people take a little bit of more time. You can probably try talking to them and see that what inhibition him or her, that devotee has. But at the end of the day, just keep encouraging. If they have come this far, and you feel that they only have some last mile left, then make sure you don't give up on them. Yeah, keep patience. I think you as a person can keep patience with them, be supportive and be loving to them, and at the same time, for the other person, allow them their time and space to kind of, because it will happen, Mataji. See, if they've Krishna will speak, Krishna will inspire them, and if they are continuing with their devotional practice, that sukriti they are building up, that will work on them. So, but it has to be a two-way exercise, right? So you have to give love and encouragement and support from your side, and give that person the time also from their side. Because if we don't want them to be in a situation where we push them unnecessarily and then they feel repelled, from the relationship as well as from Krishna consciousness. So yeah, keep encouraging and keep loving them. That's it.
Thank you, Mataji.
Thank you.